If you guys were to ask me what happened when I watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, the best I can tell you from my memory is that it started when I was in the school cafeteria and I was talking to one of my classmates, and he asked me, he said, "What were you watching?" And I said, "Halloween 3. And he said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." And I said it had Michael Myers in it. He said, "Well, it couldn't have been Halloween 3. So I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, Michael Myers isn't in that one." So let me explain to you guys what I mean. Someone taped Halloween 3 for me on not Halloween 3, but Halloween 6. And they mistook that for part 3. But I'll explain that when I get to part 6. But anyway, he says, "Well, you couldn't have seen Halloween 3 because Michael Myers isn't in 3." And I've told you guys many times before that I didn't get to see them in chronological order because of money issues. So I had to see them as I got the opportunity. That's how that worked. So it was 1, and then one time I saw 6, and then 2, and then so on and so forth. But anyway, this is how I discovered Halloween 3. Once again, just like the first Halloween, I came home, and this was, I believe it was 1996. So this was actually before I saw Halloween 2, ironically. And I looked in the TV guide, and it said Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And, or it might have been 97, so you guys have to excuse me, it was so long ago. But anyway, my mom's friend came over and she said, "Do you know Halloween 3 is coming on?" And I said, "Yeah, I know." And she had a smile on her face, and I don't know if you guys ever been in this situation, but when people smile at you, you don't want them to know you're disappointed, so you just smile back, So I smiled back, I was disappointed because she said Halloween 3. And I remembered that my friend in the cafeteria told me that it was a Meyerless sequel. There was no Michael Myers. So I said, "Yeah, Halloween 3, ha ha ha," fake laughing and stuff. And anyway, so the movie comes on, and there's this weird music and this weird title sequence with a bunch of designs. And I'm sitting there with my brother and his friend, and we're trying to figure out what the design is. And he said it looked like a dirt path or something like that. That's what my brother's friend said. I said, "A dirt path? What are you talking about?" He said, "It looks like some kind of dirt path." Because it was brown and it had like this weird shape. Long story short, the design that they were making was actually a jack-o'-lantern. And it comes on and you just see this guy running. And I'm wondering to myself, well, what's he running from? Because if Michael Myers is not in this film like he was with 1 and 2, then who's this guy running from? And he's running from this robot or some kind of humanistic looking creature or whatever you want to call it. So, he killed the thing, or at least stopped it for the time being. And I thought it was silly, and they had the 8 More Days to Halloween song, 8 more days to Halloween, 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 and so on and so forth. And I know that it took them forever to get to October 31st. And I was already pretty upset because Michael Myers wasn't in this film. And again, I say to you, long story short, you see these people wearing these masks and terrible things are happening to them. And I'm at least 10 or 11 years old at the time, and I really don't know what the heck is going on in this film. I have no clue about Irish mythology. So, they're saying all this stuff that I can't understand. I just see a bunch of people getting killed. And I see this guy, he's fighting a bunch of robots and such. And, at the end of the film, he's punching the robot, and this kind of liquid comes from the robot after he beats the robot up and things like that. And I just remember him and the girl running, and, and at the end of the film, he's saying, "Stop it, stop it, stop it," and "Stop it," and he's yelling. And I'm sorry that this is such a short video, guys, but I really don't remember too much about Halloween 3 because I was disappointed, watching it as a child because Michael Myers wasn't in it. So when the film went off, I said to myself, what the heck did I just watch? I mean, you have killer robots, and I knew that that's what they were. And you've got this guy who's running from them at the beginning of the film. And then you got a guy beating the robots up, and you've got no Michael Myers, but they sort of act like Michael Myers. And, so I really don't know what to say. And that was my reaction back then. I'm thinking, what did I just watch? I was confused. So I just went to sleep and didn't say anything else about it. As a matter of fact, before I went to sleep, I just played Super Nintendo and didn't make any comments about it one way or the other. I understand it more now, but as a child, I didn't know what that crap was. I mean, that's my honest reaction, my childhood reaction to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I said, well, Michael Myers isn't in it, so what's the point? That's basically it. And I apologize if you're disappointed in my story, but I told you I was going to tell you the truth, not going to lie to you. I don't remember much about Halloween 3 as a child because it was boring. The little bit that I did tell you is the little bit that I can remember. I'll tell you again. I remember my mom's friend coming over, telling me that it was coming on, and my brother and his friend were playing Super Nintendo. I told them to cut it off because I wanted to see Halloween 3, even though my friend told me that Michael Myers wasn't in Halloween 3, but I wanted to watch it anyway, just in case. I figured my friend doesn't know what he's talking about. And he was right. Michael Myers wasn't in Halloween 3. So I wasted 2 hours of my childhood that I'll never get back for something that Michael Myers wasn't even in. What a disappointment that is. And that's my honest reaction. You don't like it? I'm sorry. Think about how I must have felt. Anyway, thanks for listening. Coming up next, my reaction to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And by the way, guess what? I used that same Blockbuster card to get that movie. What can I say? I was a rebellious child. Anyway, guys, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. It's the honest truth. I didn't remember much about it. Anyway, thanks for listening. I didn't like the film back then as a child. I do now, though. Bye. And I approve this message.